have Heath Miller as a low TE1 or a high TE2, I mean, you play him because he's going to be a part of this offense. There's no reason why the Colts can't win this game. They are one of the hottest teams in football right now. Colts win.
All right, Green Bay travels to New Orleans, and the Green Bay Packers are playing. They're on as good a roll as anybody, even though they had a come from behind last-second victory against the Miami Dolphins 2 weeks ago. But there's no better passer in this league than Aaron Rodgers as far as taking care of the football. When he throws it, it's on time, it's accurate. He doesn't take many chances, therefore doesn't turn the ball over very well. If there's one criticism for the Green Bay Packers is that I think they could use Eddie Lacy a little bit more than they do. But when you have Aaron Rodgers, why would you? But that's just my personal opinion. The New Orleans Saints were going to win one on the road there until they choked it away in the last 4 minutes of the game in Detroit last week. They're 2-4 overall. They're 2-0 at home. This game is in the Dome. There's no reason statistically to think that the Saints can win this, except for the fact that Sean Payton was a little salty in the post-game press conference, and I think that kind of attitude trickles down to your team, and I really think that that a loss like the last week's has to hurt and eat at your soul, especially for a team like the Saints, who we've come to expect certain things out of them, and we have not seen that this year at all. But I am picking this week for them to get back on the right side of the score and beat the Green Bay Packers at home.
Yeah, you know what? This should be a shootout, and it favors the Packers. The Saints give up about 270 yards per game to the pass, and if you're going to give Aaron Rodgers 270 yards, you bet he's going to get 3 TDs in there some way. Aaron Rodgers, Eddie Lacy, Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, and to a lesser extent, Devontae Adams, play them all. For the Saints, Drew Brees, Marcus Colston. Brandon Cooks has been disappointing some people. I saw him dropped in at least one league. I don't think you should jump ship just yet. They've had a tough time, and there's still 9 weeks of football to be played. Hang on to him. Consider him for a wide receiver 3 spot. Jimmy Graham, monitor his activity. It sounds like he's going to be active again. I'm tired of teams playing or injured players and not using them. I think you do yourself a disservice. You do that player a disservice, and it lasts more than if you just kept them out for a couple games and then got him back at full strength. But if you have Jimmy Graham, consider your second option until we see him back at 100%. And a player that I absolutely love for the Saints, and if you have him, boy, you got to find a way to get him active, is Mark Ingram. The Packers allow 150 yards per game to running backs, and they've given up 7 rush TDs on the season. So he's looking at 150 yards, which you would love from a guy like Mark Ingram, and 1 TD. And the reason why I say that is because Pierre Thomas is likely not going to play, and Kerry Robinson is already injured, and there's an outside shot he may not play. So look for Mark Ingram to have a big game. Keith, nothing like cheese and hot sauce. Cheese and hot sauce.
Wait, hold on. I got to write down the timestamp of that one because that soundbite will come back to you. I'm just
come
throw
on,
that out there.
Come on. Hey, if it helps us get some sponsorship, that's fine with me.
48 minutes, 30 seconds. Okay, never mind. I got it. I'm good. The final game, the Monday night matchup, the Washington Redskins traveled to the Dallas Cowboys. And you know what? This pains me to say this. There is no better story in football than the Dallas Cowboys. Why? Well, because they're showing everybody how to coach to your roster. Coach to what you do well, not what you want to do, not what you hope to do. Be who you are. And they are running the snot out of the ball. The difference in attempts between DeMarco Murray and the rest of the league is ungodly. They are keeping the ball out of Tony Romo's hands in a crucial situation. They are keeping their suspect defense off the field as much as possible. They are doing everything that every team in the league should do, but somehow, for some reason, can't. And they're 6-1 because of that. The Washington Redskins. There was rumors about Robert Griffin III possibly being ready to go, but it remains to be seen. I personally don't think he will. And they've already said that Kirk Cousins will not start. Has anybody's star risen and fallen faster than Kirk Cousins. Colt McCoy will be your starting quarterback for Washington should that game start tomorrow. But because they have till Monday, who knows what will happen. The Cowboys are just playing lights out football right now. The Redskins are a mess. They have quarterback issues. Even if RG3 is healthy, which I don't think he is, but even if he is, he didn't show anything before to make you think that he would be a difference maker. There is absolutely no reason to pick against the Dallas Cowboys, so I won't.
Yeah, this game favors the Cowboys passing game all the way around, which is weird to say because if you have DeMarco Murray, you're not benching him for any reason. You're starting him in this game. You're starting Tony Romo. I love him this week. If you have Romo, play him. Don't play him ahead of Aaron Rodgers. Play him ahead of, Matt Ryan. Play him ahead of Ben Roethlisberger. Play him ahead of, name a quarterback, Keith.
Jay Cutler.
Yes, definitely play him ahead of Jay Cutler. Tony Romo, DeMarco Murray, Des Bryant, Terrence Williams. Cowboys defense. Look at them as a low-end option this week, and I'll tell you why. The Redskins have given up 1 kick return, and they've also given up 2 defensive touchdowns. And I kind of like that when you're talking about defense and special teams. And, you have Colt McCoy in. It's sort of raised the white flag a little bit, in my opinion. By doing that, it was one thing to get him some work, but it's another thing to, he got 80 yards and he scored a TD, and now you're going away from your number 2 quarterback and possibly even your number 1 quarterback to give him a go when he hasn't succeeded in the other settings that he's been put in. But it also means he can make mistakes. That having been said, you're not playing him. Alfred Morris is a rough play, but he's an RB2. And Pierre Garçon and Deshaun Jackson, I think you got to give him a go. Pierre Garçon had that one big play. Colt McCoy can do that. I think Colt McCoy is a smart enough quarterback to give the ball to the guys that can help him, but he just makes enough mistakes that he'll hold the team back or hold his teams back. If I'm eating those words on Monday after this game, that's fine with me, but I still think this is a Cowboy win. And that's it, Keith.
That is it. So let's see. We got 8 minutes, just about 8 minutes to go in the show. 585-633-7487 if you want to call in with your fantasy football questions for the Fantasy Greek. If you have lineup issues, it's crunch time. I don't know what you're waiting for. 585-633-7487. So let's do our little thing where we go up and down.
Hey, Keith, you know what? I got a Twitter question that I think is I wouldn't mind sharing it on the show.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, well, the question is, which 2 would you rather have on your bench, Devontae Adams, Bryce Brown, or Jermaine Kearse? And to answer the reader's question would be Devontae Adams and Bryce Brown. Bryce Brown, I have been a huge supporter of his in terms of 2 things. First, the Bills traded for him. They didn't sign him from free agency like Anthony Dixon. They actually invested in Bryce Brown. Bryce Brown has a track record with the Eagles. I want to say he's got 4.6 yards per carry. He was a substantial asset when LaShawn McCoy went down to injury, and he has been fully endorsed by Fred Jackson as well as fullback Frank Summers of the Bills. For Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers, with every passing game, has shown more and more confidence, and because of that, Devontae Adams' star is rising. It's not quite there yet. He's worth rostering. I think as the season progresses, we're going to start seeing him being a 60 to 80-yard receiver, and every other game a touchdown. Jermaine Kearse is in a different situation. I know that Percy Harvin moved on, but I'd rather have Doug Baldwin. That's who I'd rather have.
All righty. So my lineup in my own league is pretty much selling it. It's setting itself. Who would you start, Ronnie Hillman or Shane Vereen?
Wait, Ronnie Hillman, or what was the second choice?
Shane Vereen.
Oh, I actually think that's a great one.
Mm-hmm.
Man, God, you'd like to try and get both those guys out on the field. For me, it would be Ronnie Hillman. He has just been solid. He went up against the Jets and had 100 yards in his score against them, and that's unheard of. They have one of the best run defenses in the league. I like Shane Vereen, but you could see him disappear from time to time from the box score. It just depends what's working for the Patriots and where they decide to put the football. The other week it was Shane Vereen. This week it could be Rob Gronkowski.
The running backs I have to choose from are Le'Veon Bell, Ronnie Hillman, Shane Vereen, and Kyrie Robinson.
Yeah, I'd be starting Hillman and Le'Veon Bell.
I also have Bishop Sankey, but I'm only holding on to him because
I would. Yeah,
because it's a dynasty league, and I just don't feel comfortable letting him go yet.
Yeah.
All right. So there's that. So I'm in my free agent pool right now. Some interesting names. Eli Manning. Would you pick him up?
No.
Okay. I know he's on a bye, no. but looking forward through the season. I'm trying to think. Steven Jackson? No, we don't want Steven Jackson. Nope, we don't want Steven Jackson. Not at all. Allen Robinson. Is there any value with Jacksonville?
I think his value would be better if Cecil Shorts wasn't on that lineup. I really, I've seen a few teams now sort of go run out and get young receivers and not really have veteran wide receivers, and Jacksonville is one of them. And why I like Cecil Shorts, he's not the long-term answer to this team, and I genuinely question whether all the wide receivers behind him are getting a quality experience or quality coaching, because they're all young guys. Every single one of them. It's sort of the same thing that you see on the Seahawks. I think what's different now is that Doug Baldwin has been there for a while, and it seems that he has at least developed enough skills that he could share those sorts of things with his fellow receivers, as well as Percy Harvin. I mean, for all the hoo-hooing that Percy got, I mean, he's a veteran in this league. I forget if he's been in the league 6 years, 8 years, but it's something like that. And he's proven. He's absolutely proven. I remember having him on one of my fantasy teams a couple of years after he entered the league. He was outstanding. So for them to say that somehow he's not a team player, I mean, it's really, they couldn't get him the football. Because if they could get him the football like the Vikings did back in the day, Percy Harvin would be doing just some wondrous things for the Seahawks.
Right. What about a wide receiver like Miles Austin?
Yeah, Miles, right now that ship has sailed. I'd be interested to see what happens when Josh Gordon is activated, if that helps in any way. But there's no Brian Hoyer, at least as of last season, had some favorites, or his favorite was Josh Gordon. Hoyer's Jordan Cameron began last season as a favorite, and then suddenly he dropped off. His production fell right to the floor, and we haven't seen it really come back with any sort of consistency. I couldn't, even with Andrew Hawkins, I have him more as sort of a borderline wide receiver 3, like a wide receiver 4 or 5. I've seen other analysts talk about him as sort of a must play or a must grab, and I just don't think that that's the case at all.
Okay. Looking down the list here, with Carolina, Jonathan Stewart is out there. Yeah, he's been my nemesis forever.
Yeah, Jay Stu doesn't have a very good track record because of all his injuries. Here's how I view him. If you are desperate for filling a flex position or a second running back position, and he's there, I don't see why you don't get him. Because, I mean, he should be good for 10 or 12 touches each game, which should produce something. But he's not a home run hitter. If this were a week ago, you probably could have run out and either picked him or picked Trey Mason, in which case I would have said Trey Mason. Now Trey Mason's likely gone. But what about Anthony Dixon? What about Bryce Brown? What about Denard Robinson?
Trey Mason is still sitting out there in the free agent pool there.
I love Trey Mason. I picked him up on 2 teams. And one team I picked him up 2 weeks ago, and he's just been great for me.
So is Zach Stacy done?
It's hard to say. I mean, it's strange. When you were talking about stars rising and then falling, his was one of them. Last year, I swore, and I know I stated that we would be talking about whether or not Zach Stacy was a first-round draft pick in fantasy football. Sure enough, that happens, but then they run out and they draft Trey Mason. And somehow they're unable to work with both of them. Don't ask me why. Is it, Zach needs a few touches before he gets warmed up. It could be where Trey maybe doesn't. Or is it just an ego thing? Some players, when they know that they're the lead back and there's no one threatening them, they thrive in that. They thrive in the knowledge that